Hi friends! In a previous video, we learned different types of price elasticity of demand. However, we did not study how to measure them. And that is exactly what we are going to do today. There are three methods through which we can calculate price elasticity. The first method is the ratio method or the proportionate method. It was developed by Alfred Flux. Hence, many a times this method is also regarded as the flux method. If you divide the percent change in quantity demanded by the percent change in price of the commodity, you end up getting the elasticity. True, it is simple as that. To understand this, look at the downward sloping demand curve where the quantity demanded of chocolates are plotted on the x-axis and prices on the y-axis. Say, price of the chocolate is Rs 100 and at that price you demand 1000 chocolates. However, later, price of the chocolate falls to 50, hence you demand more of it, say 1500 chocolates. Let's write this in a tabular form. If we apply a formula in this case, then the percent change in price from Rs 100 to Rs 50 is 50% and the percent change in quantity from 1000 to 1500 is also 50%. Hence, the price elasticity of demand for our chocolate is equal to 1. Or in other words, it's unitary elastic. Whew, I just don't understand why people hate economics. It's so easy. The second method to calculate price elasticity is the total expenditure or the total outlay method. It was given by none other than Professor Alfred Marshall. As the name suggests, we have to deal with expenditure in this method. The best way to understand this is with the help of the following schedule. Look carefully at the columns. The first column suggests the change in price of chocolate. The next column suggests how demand changes with change in price. And the last column shows your total expenditure after the change in price. Now, look at the first row. Here the price of the chocolate is Rs 10 and at 10 rupees 12 chocolates have been bought. So the total expenditure is 10 into 12, that is 120. When price of chocolate falls to Rs 8, you buy more chocolates. In this case 15, and your total expenditure will be 8 into 15, that is 120. Notice that irrespective of the change in price, your spending on the chocolate remains the same. Hence, the elasticity of your chocolate in this case will be equal to 1 or unitary elastic. Similarly, say if the price of the chocolate falls from 10 to 8 and your quantity demanded increases from 12 to 20, then your total expenditure will increase by 8 into 20, that is 160. Here, your elasticity will be 160 upon 120, which is greater than 1. Hence, we call such demands as relatively elastic demands. And last but not the least, when your ratio of expenditures is less than 1, we call it relatively inelastic demand. You can pause the video and check out how we got here. The last way to measure elasticity is the point proportionate method or the geometric method. This method was also developed by Alfred Marshall. At any point on the demand curve, elasticity is measured using this formula. Segment of demand curve below the given point divided by segment of demand curve above the given point. To understand this, look at the following diagram. Let us assume that the demand curve below has a length of 4 cm. When the price is P, the quantity demanded is 0, which means at point P, the demand is infinitely elastic or perfectly elastic. Similarly, the closer you get to the point P4, the more inelastic demand curve gets. And at P4, the demand curve is perfectly inelastic. Watch the previous video in the playlist to understand elasticity of demand properly. Now, let's say I take point P2 right in the center of our demand curve and apply this formula. That is, the lower segment of the demand curve which is 2 cm, divided by upper segment of the demand curve, which is also 2 cm. We get our answer equal to 1, which means at point P2, the demand is unitary elastic. Now let's take another point, say P1, such that the lower segment is 3 cm and the upper segment is 1 cm, and apply the formula lower segment divided by the upper segment. You get the answer as 3, and 3 is more than 1. This means that at point P1, the demand is relatively elastic. Similarly, take point P3 now and apply the formula, and you will get an answer which is less than 1. Hence, at point P3, we have a relatively inelastic demand. Friends, these were the 3 ways through which you can measure price elasticity of demand. I hope you enjoyed the video. If you did, then do like, comment, share and subscribe. Until then, adios. Hasta la vista.